Elected at 18, out of the party at 19, Daisy Blakemore-Creedon joins me for a Memo exclusive interview. And it's very good to be with you. I'm Kaylem Shepherd. Welcome to this special edition of the Memo, a sit-down interview with Councillor Daisy Blakemore-Creedon, elected at the tender age of 18 into the big world of politics. Yes, I'm a councillor that wants to speak my mind and make change in this world. But Daisy found that when she tried to speak out, she was branded a racist. She accused the Labour Party of bullying her, marginalising her, and not taking her seriously. So that begs the question, why are young people told to get into politics if we're only going to be silenced and pushed to the side? Is it all talk? They want to show that politics is for the young generation, but really, when we get in there, we're told to just be quiet, darling. Don't do anything. Stay at the side. I thought politics was about making change, about trying to enact policy to make our country better. Well, Daisy Blakemore-Creedon joins me for a Memo exclusive interview. Daisy, thank you so very much for your time. You're a Labour councillor for Peterborough. Appreciate your time.
Yeah, no, thank you for having me.
So take me back to that night, that day, aged 18, elected. How did it feel?
It felt very unreal.
Yeah.
I was supposed to be a paper candidate to begin with because I was supposed to be going off to university, and then a seat became available. Yeah. And I was told, do a campaign. It's going to be very unlikely that you're going to win this seat. So I took the offer up, and I thought, what a brilliant way to get myself involved in local politics, because I always knew I wanted to go into politics. I used to go out and campaign and be a bit of an activist when I was younger. And it took me back to, I went on a end austerity protest, and I thought, actually, how can I actually make a meaningful difference? And I thought going into local government would allow me to do that.
Yeah. Has it?
I would say yes. I like the to be able to go out and do stuff with my constituents and on that grassroots politics sort of stuff.
Yeah. So take me back to the beginning. You said you were, involved in politics from a young age. Where did this stem from? Are your family political in any way?
So my great-grandfather was Robert Maxwell's campaign officer back in the day.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so that was always quite interesting when I used to go and visit him, and there would be pictures and books, and but he did leave the Labour Party when the antisemitism started to come up. But he never discussed it with me. I always asked him, why did you leave the Labour Party? And he said, look, Daisy, I'm not going to have this conversation. You'll figure that out. And here I am figuring it out myself.
Yeah, let's talk about that. I mean, you resigned from the Labour group in Peterborough City Council because you felt like you were being bullied, marginalised, and I guess not taken seriously. Tell me more about that. What happened? A young Labour councillor, you just started your career aged 18, and by 19, you're resigning from that same party that got elected for.
I feel quite disheartened about it all, because the Labour movement was something I felt so passionate about, and to be silenced and to even be perceived as naive as an 18-year-old female was something I was not willing to do. Yeah. And so the Labour Party they failed me. They failed me. They failed my family too, because they were all Labour activists. Yeah. And once they realised this was the levels of depth they would go to silence a young female.
Yeah. So for many people that are listening and watching, they may not know what happened, but you resigned from the Labour Party because you felt like, as I said, you were bullied, marginalised within the group. You raised serious concerns which you don't think were taken seriously enough. People accuse you of being racist and targeting fellow Asian Labour councillors. What happened? Talk me about that situation. You're not a racist, are you?
No.
And I was talking to some of my friends, and they were like, what you were saying was not racist. So where did this come from? Tell me, speak to me.
No, so I put a post on about a taxi driver in Lincolnshire, but I think he was licensed, and they can operate anywhere, taxi drivers, under different licenses, authorities. And so I put this post on. It was about a young disabled woman who got verbally abused getting out of a taxi, and he was due in court. And I put a post on about how this man could still be operating and verbally abusing other people. And it got put in our Labour group chat about, this is wrong, Daisy, what you're doing. And then I got an email come through regarding targeting fellow Asian Labour councillors. And it kind of baffled me in a way, because I just thought I would never target someone because they're Asian. I had no reason to target
You just
any
safety,
councillor.
You wanted people to be safe in a cab, I assume.
Yeah, and that's so fundamental. I'm not just trying to protect the passengers.
Yeah.
I'm also trying to protect taxi drivers themselves. Yeah. And I looked at Cambridgeshire's statistics, and the taxi drivers get more abuse than the passengers. So I always
it helps them, surely.
Yeah.
But they had a problem with recording 30 minutes, something about 30 minutes before a job or something. Talk me through that side of it as well.
So
that was the controversial side of it they didn't like.
There was an argument about how it was an invasion in their private life because it was recording 30 minutes prior to them actually going out and doing their job, and 30 minutes after, which is completely understandable, but that CCTV would not be used unless it was needed for evidence. Yeah. So what are they trying to hide?
And they branded you a racist for trying to implement this to keep people safe. Yeah,
because locally, the predominant taxi drivers are of Pakistani heritage, and that was a fact. Yeah. And for calling that out, I was targeted as being a racist.
So tell me, what did the targeting look like?
So I recently went into a taxi shop with fellow friends after going for a drink at the pub.
Yes,
like young people do.
Yes, red wine, what are you going for?
Obviously a red.
Red, go on, why not?
A Malbec,
there we
of
go.
course. And so we tried to get a taxi back, and I walked into this taxi shop, and they said, "Excuse me, you're not allowed in here." And they refused me, and they didn't refuse any of the other females I was out with. Yeah. So I said to them, so what are you going to do? Let a young female stand outside in the middle of the night waiting to get home? Yeah. And they said, yeah. So I'm being absolutely isolated, just trying to get home safely, just because I called something out.
And it's quite sad because we're told as young people to be politically active, get involved in politics young. But for your case, you have. And look what's happened for you speaking your mind.
Yeah, it's not great. But I do encourage young people who have a voice and don't fear being silenced to actually start getting involved, because that's the change we need. We need to stop this old school politics where voices aren't heard and actually start making a difference.
So tell me, going forward, are you still going to try and put legislation in your borough to get these cameras in these cars?
Of course.
Yeah.
I'm currently working with an organisation called Women's Safety Initiative.
I've seen that online,
Yes, and we are trying to put in a national mandatory CCTV in taxis. And we've had a few people reach out, like Sammy Woodhouse, absolutely fantastic campaigner and brilliant what she's doing on social media and activism in regards of grooming. And it'd be nice to actually see mandatory CCTV nationally. Yeah,
I don't normally give my opinion because as a journalist I don't think it's my job to, but I think in this situation you're not a racist. You're just someone who wants everybody to be safe. And because they didn't like what you were saying, they silenced you, they've pushed you to the side. And it does seem like, I don't know, why wouldn't you want CCTV in cabs for your own safety and the safety of cab drivers. It doesn't make sense to me.
No, it makes you really wonder.
Yeah, what are you doing?
What is going on
Yeah.
in your taxis?
Yeah.
And what are you trying to cover up?
Yeah.
Or potentially hide?
Yeah.
And that scares me.
Yeah.
As
That's
a
even
young
scarier,
female,
actually.
Yeah, as a young female who has siblings who are 4, 10, 16,
Yeah.
one of those being a female.
Yeah.
These are the things I want for their futures and other young people's futures, to just be able to feel safe when travelling. Buses have CCTV.
Yeah.
Trains have CCTV.
Yeah.
But when you're in a one-on-one potential situation with a taxi driver, you definitely want CCTV.
Definitely, because it's your word against his or hers, to be honest. Obviously, the Labour Party we reached out to the Labour Party and they've given us a statement. The Labour Party said, "We are aware that a former Labour councillor has been charged with harassment without violence. However, we are unable to comment on an ongoing criminal case. The Labour Party takes complaints extremely seriously. Any complaint received by the Labour Party is assessed thoroughly in line with Labour's party rules and procedures, and disciplinary action is taken where necessary." They also said, on the background of your case, it's understood that the party offered support to Councillor Blakemore-Creedon at several points in the past year. Labour's safeguarding team has been in touch with you to offer support at several points in the past year. The councillor accused of harassment resigned from the Labour Party before internal disciplinary actions could be taken against him. Your response to that?
The Labour Party, in regard to the safeguarding, only implemented safeguarding training to all Labour councillors, which is something they did with the antisemitism. They implemented training for Labour councillors, which does training always work? Does it actually stop it?
Tick box exercise.
Yes, it very much so is. And most of the Labour councillors that were bullying and harassing me didn't even join the training. So
it was optional?
It wasn't optional, but they still decided not to do it. And I went back to the party and asked, look, these Labour councillors weren't actually on the training. Are you going to make them do it at another time? And I never received anything further.
Let's just stick on this for one more second. The Labour Party, it was your party. Do you still stand with them? Or have they just lost you completely?
I feel so disillusioned with politics in general because of my experience. And that's a shame, because I was a young person who felt so deeply passionate about wanting to make a difference. And I thought doing that through politics and being able to represent under the Labour banner as someone who aligned with Labour Party manifesto and Labour Party values, I feel so lost that I don't feel like I stand with Labour anymore because of the way they isolated me and the way they treated me. And that goes for people within the Labour Party locally and regionally and even nationally.
Do you think the same happened to Jeremy Corbyn?
Potentially.
Yeah. Because he felt sidelined as well, didn't he?
Yes.
Didn't feel like the Labour Party was supporting him. Anyway, that's for another day. Let's talk about young people getting involved in politics. Why would anybody want to get involved in politics, any young person, when they've seen what you've gone through?
I think what my experience will hopefully encourage more young people to get involved and change the system. Politics is completely at a crossroad at the moment. Apathy is so high, and parties need to start shaping their manifesto to get young people out there and voting and put young people at the forefront of their policies.
But do you think that's actually going to happen? Because we've seen what Keir Starmer's done. Do you remember that thing he tried to... Was it banning drinking or something to do with the pubs? I can't quite remember.
Yes, I recall
Yes,
that.
I can't exactly remember what he was trying to suggest.
And,
but I was just like, what young person wants that?
Yeah, and it's a shame because they do target their policies towards the older generations because they know they are more likely to go out and vote. Yeah. Which we need to stop that. We need to start encouraging young people to go out and actually because their voice does make a difference.
It does,
by simply ticking a ballot box. And I always struggle with people who complain about a system, and then I always ask, "Did you actually vote?" And they say no. And I'm like, well, you need to. If you want to see change, the first step is going out and voting. I just can't believe how many young people are disillusioned with politics.
But why do you think that is?
I would say over the past 10 years, we've seen things like Sure Start centres being taken away from families and young people, community groups where young people were able to go out and have that community environment.
Yeah.
We're seeing all of those on a decline and potentially being completely taken away. And again, it makes me question, these things are deteriorating under a Labour government, a government which I would say would be about community and allowing young people to have opportunities and feel safe.
Yeah. And many don't. And many of my friends feel like the Labour Party doesn't stand for young people anymore. And where do you go if the Labour Party isn't for you, if the Tories aren't for you? Reform?
See, that's the problem.
Because we're seeing a rise in young people moving over to the far right because they feel like Nigel Farage is one of them. He understands their problem and he wants problems and he wants to sort their problems. Whereas Keir Starmer, it's performative. No. I mean, the guy says he likes football. I don't believe he likes... Do you know what I mean? Like, you can say you like football, but do we believe it?
Yeah. And that's a problem, is we are seeing young people turn to reform.
Yeah.
And is it because they're good on social media?
I think they're really good on social media. Nigel Farage has incredible amount of followers.
Yeah, TikTok, they're absolutely fantastic.
They're smashing
and their 30-second clips are brilliant. Yeah. And these are the things that are engaging young people. Labour Party's social media is not doing that. No. Conservative social media is not doing that.
They need better people.
Yes.
I had Harrison Olmanvati on the podcast. He was my second guest. And then he was a Labour councillor. And now he's deflected to reform. Age 20. I was just like, why? Why would you do that?
Well, I think some of their economic policies are quite socialist to an extent. And that's quite appealing to people who feel disillusioned with Labour. Labour Party was the party for the working class once upon a time. And it's no longer the party for the working class. So how can working class people feel represented? Because I know my family don't feel represented under the Labour Party. They've took away winter fuel allowance and then they're bringing it back in. Is that because they're scared they're going to lose votes? And that's...
But they're not saying it was a mistake to take it away.
No.
So...
So what happened there?
And I think something again, just own it. If you've made a mistake, I'm so sorry, we shouldn't have done that. Like, people can relate to that rather than just avoiding it completely.
It's that transparency and accountability that people want to see in politics. And I don't think Labour, Conservative or Reform are doing that. Yeah. So where do we go to? In a democratic society, who do we vote for? Because I don't think I could vote for any of those political parties. And that's where we're going to see an even more of an increase in apathy. And what about 2028 government? Are we going to see a coalition?
Yeah. But you're a Labour, well, so you're formerly Labour, now independent. What does that mean? What are your values? What do you stand for? Because obviously you were part of the Labour Party. Do you still have those Labour values? But I don't know. Tell me. Talk me through it.
I just believe in that everyone's voices should be heard and equality for all and no more silencing. Yeah. That's the one word that has really resonated with me lately, is the word being silenced. And I see it because I thought it's just me, I'm being silenced. And then when I go out and speak to other people involved in politics, they've all had that same experience. So why don't we all come together as young people, as old people, as different generations of different ethnicities who have been silenced and start to make a movement there and a change? Because the institution is silencing us. Yeah.
And tell me about the future for you. Do you want to be an MP?
This was a question asked to me on my train journey here this morning. What's your plans in 2028?
What are your future plans? Reveal all.
I would like to be an MP, but I would only like to represent Peterborough.
Okay.
Because I don't believe in that idea that you should be parachuted into a new place, not fully knowing the problems and even the fantastic things that come with different places. Because I know Peterborough is very diverse, and I think that makes us such a fantastic city. And it's the only city I want to represent. I grew up in Peterborough. I went to school in Peterborough. I walk around Peterborough every day.
You want to get a cab in Peterborough?
Yes, definitely, and that, yes. And so I would consider standing for MP, and I think independent MP is the future. And because of that disillusion and with that local politics,
kind of,
we are seeing. I think we're going to see a rise of independent MPs over the next few years. So? Completely.
Okay, let's talk about this. Sam Carling, elected at the age of 22, Kia Mather at 25, Rosie Writing, 26, Nadine Whitmore, elected 23. The average age of a politician in the UK is about 48. Obviously, they're far younger. What do you say to people that, would argue that you have no experience in this game? You don't know what, let's say, half of your constituents are going through. You haven't lived. What do you say to them?
I say, screw you. I have. I completely have. I mean, I grew up in quite a lot of poverty when I was younger. My mum was 17 when she fell pregnant with me. I saw the struggles she faced. I saw her have to use a food bank, go back to university and get her degree at 30 years old. I grew up in social housing, and I'm officially now a homeowner.
Congratulations!
Yes.
Because you're not in London, that's why. You've done it wrong. I need to move out of London. Congratulations, well done.
Prices are
Should I move to Peterborough? Is that the place to be?
Yeah, potentially. Okay. Great for commuting.
Yeah, it is, isn't it?
Yeah, 40 minutes.
That's not bad at all.
No, fantastic.
It takes me 40 minutes to get to the other side of London.
Yeah, 40 minutes on the train.
But you think we're going to see a rise of independent MPs, is what you're saying?
Yes. And I completely think we are going to see a rise of independent MPs because of that disillusion and that apathy and no one trusting the main political parties anymore.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much for your time, Daisy. Really appreciate it. Thank you so much for coming on the Memo.
Oh, thank you.
I think you're an inspiration to so many people that are trying to get into politics and that will get into politics. And you sharing your story of not being silenced and wanting to make a difference will encourage that young boy or young girl sitting at home, and they'll look at you and be like, I want to be like Daisy.
Let's hope so.
Let's hope so.
I would like to hopefully become a role model for other young people who want to go into politics.
And I think you are. I think you are. And you have with your campaign about making cabs safe. I think you'll be known for that, actually. I think that'll be one of your kind of the stamps.
Potentially, that's one way of... I hope so. And because it's something I feel so passionate about is as a young person, as a female, and potentially I could have been perceived when I was younger as a vulnerable female because of the circumstances I grew up in. And I don't think anyone should be targeted for being vulnerable or just even making sure everyone feels safe. Yeah. We should live in an inclusive society where everybody is safe.
Daisy, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it. And thank you all very much for watching and listening to The Memo. You can listen to The Memo wherever you get your podcast. We'll be back real soon. Thank you.